So, this is going to be my penultimate Tezuka season video. This season has gone on way longer than I expected. It's been months and months and months since I started the season. It's not really a season, it's like a Tezuka year, essentially. But I'm really happy to be wrapping things up with the series that I'm going to be reviewing today, and that's Mu. So, you know, as I say, we've standardly with every one of these videos, you're watching Tezuka season, and this is a chronological and retrospective look at the works of Osamu Tezuka, the ones that I own and the ones that I've read. Tezuka just wrote so many different manga, around 700 manga, I believe. So possibly within my lifetime I won't even get close to reading all of them. But we've got, you know, a substantial amount available in English. And yeah, I'm going to be reviewing Mu. Now, you might not recognise this cover. This is actually the hardcover edition from Vertical, which didn't come with the dust jacket. But just in case you're wondering, here is, you know, the actual the cover, just to familiarise with it yourself with it. You've probably seen it around online. I believe the paperback is still in print and available to buy. But don't quote me on that. You know, I'm not exactly too sure, but it is a fantastic manga. It's a 3-volume long series compiled into one omnibus. And what's notable about this manga is that this is Tezuka's, I guess you could say, response to the Gekiga movement of that time. Now, a lot of Gekiga artists around the 60s and 70s were, I guess you could say, outshining Tezuka in, you know, more adventurous stories. I wouldn't say adventurous, more deeper plot lines, you know, things that deal with, you know, gritty topics, you know, grounded more in reality rather than Tezuka's signature, you know, fantasy style at that time, you know, heavily Disney-esque style. You had, you know, manga like Lone Wolf and Cub, you know, just great, you know, manga like that were, you know, basically taking the manga world by storm. So Tezuka felt the need to compete with this, rightly so. And Mu is one of his notable examples, as it's very gritty. It's regarded as one of his darkest works, and I can vouch for that. It is very dark. It deals with some very touchy topics. One that isn't really one that I expected, and that's paedophilia. I will actually talk about that a little bit more, you know, in the review when I actually, you know, describe actually what the story is about. But it does have paedophilic undertones in this. Not too heavy, but there are those undertones there. But basically, Mu, quite a strange name for a manga. It's spelled MW, but it's actually pronounced Mu. And Mu is basically a code name for a chemical weapon. A chemical weapon that was developed by the American Army Occupation Forces on a Japanese island around the. I think this is set in the 1970s. I could be wrong, I don't really remember. But yeah, it's a chemical weapon, a weapon of mass destruction that can basically kills people instantly. It's like cyanide, it's airborne cyanide, it's extremely deadly. And basically, that's kind of the main overarching plot surrounds this conspiracy regarding Mu. The main characters, it centers around two. Father Garai, who is a Catholic priest, and Michio Yuki, who is a serial killer. Now, these two people, however they may seem unrelated, have a really deep bond and connection, and a really deep seated and deep-rooted, you know, connection to the whole Mu conspiracy. Now, Father Garai, growing up, he was, I guess you could say, a social miscreant. He was involved, you know, gangs and things like that. And somehow stumbled across, they came across a rich man on a boat and killed him, steal his boat and everything like that. And that's where Father Garai first meets Michio Yuki as a boy. And they're on like an island called Okinomifune Island, which is a tropical island near Okinawa in Japan. And a disaster happens while, you know, while they're basically ransacking the boat. Everyone on the island dies, and nobody knows why. People just drop dead. Everybody except for Yuki and Garai, who managed to hide in a cave, you know, up on a mountain. And it turns out that there was a gas leak. Now this gas leak is what is known as the Mu, and it killed all the inhabitants of the island. Luckily for Yuki and Garai, they managed to escape that because they were high up in the mountain, you know, basically above the gas cloud. So they just wait everything out. They just wait there for a few days for the gas to clear, and then when they come out, they stumble across the horror of what's actually occurred, and just dead bodies everywhere, not one speck of life left on the island. And it instantly gets dark from that point on, even before so, because you get to learn that when Garai and the underage Yuki were hiding out in the cave, Garai makes multiple advances on the young boy, saying, you know, referencing the fact that he looks like a young dame. You know, he's got the pretty looks of a young girl, and he rapes him. You don't actually get to really see it, but it is suggested. You get to see them caressing and, you know, cuddling each other, but it's really disturbing. You know, it doesn't really serve as much context to the story overall. I mean, it does kind of solidify their bond, and, you know, how Michio Yuki becomes the person that he is, because he eventually becomes a serial killer, and because Garai is a Catholic, you know, he's supposedly a man of God, and he feels responsible for you know, Yuki being the man that he was, and instead of turning him into the police anytime he commits a crime, he aids in his escape and tries to you know, stop him on his own. He's constantly caught between this battle of, I need to stop him on my own, but I also care for this person. And you know, even into adulthood, they develop this homosexual relationship. But even still, the plot device concerning you know, the sexual relationship between Garai and Yuki doesn't really serve much context, because without spoiling the plot, that there is I guess you could say, an extenuating circumstance which you know, justifies why Yuki is the way he is, other than the fact that he was raped as a young boy and sexually abused. I mean, you know, that was probably a contributing factor to it, and you know, it does solidify, you know, this really negative bond that he has with Garai, and, you know, Yuki permanently and always, you know, is very polarizing with Garai. You know, he'll always be making advances and be flirting with him, but at the same time, he does that to torture him, and, you know, Garai really does suffer the effects of this, and you get to see this visually. And, you know, there's visual cues and metaphors to suggest that Garai is really suffering the consequences, because one of the first panels you see him in is he's having a dream, and you just see him surrounded by fire. You know, he feels like I'm burning, you know, because I'm a sinner. But yeah, I mean, in terms of character development, none of the characters really develop. None of them are empathetic. None of them are likable characters. Even Yuki, he just comes across as basically a psychopathic maniac, which he essentially is, and there's not really much room for development with that. He became a psychopath at a very young age. You only get to see him as a normal person for a few panels, and then, you know, obviously the tragedy happens, and, you know, he's just a permanent psychopath. You know, he moonlights by day as, you know, a bank worker who's, you know, really enigmatic, you know, popular with the ladies, and really smart, but you know, by night he's a mass murderer essentially, and he doesn't really have any particular goal with the series. You know, he's not doing anything for revenge, or, you know, there's no morality behind it. He's just being evil for the sake of being evil, and that's not something I really appreciated with this manga, especially with Garai as well, because Garai is such a pathetic character. He's permanently got the idea that he wants to stop Yuki, but never actually gets the balls to be able to do anything, and that's why I think he's completely pathetic. I never liked him from the first page, and I never liked him, you know, from the at the last page. He's just a really awful character. Whether Tezuka designed him that way, or whether it was just, you know, poor, you know, execution on his part, it's something that indistinguishable, because he doesn't really develop as a character. He's just always, you know, pretty pathetic. So characters, the characters are strong in the sense that what they do is shocking, but are they good characters? I would argue no. As for the artwork is it's very it's very Gekiga-esque. You know, Tezuka has opted to make the characters look more realistic. You know, you do get to see some cameos from his, you know, his star system, which is pretty, you know, it's pretty nice. You know, the environments that it's set in, you know, are really nice as well. You know, his attention to detail with the backgrounds and the locales and things like that, you know, are really nice. I liked also the panel work in this manga as well. You do get to see some really interesting dynamic paneling, you know, because there's a lot of action in this manga, and that's always, you know, really greatly appreciated. As you can see from the cover, these are actually panels from the manga itself. Yeah, the art style is really good. I absolutely loved it. Overall, you know, this is something I would highly recommend you read if you're a die-hard fan of Tezuka. If you're just a casual manga reader, then, you know, you might want to give this a miss if you're not really into, you know, dark stories, or stories that, you know, could potentially make you feel uncomfortable, especially with the paedophilic undertones. But yeah, you know, this is something, you know, I would highly recommend it if you do like a dark thriller, you know, conspiracy mystery, with, you know, unexpected twists and turns. And I thoroughly enjoyed it overall. So yeah, that's been my review of Mu by Osamu Tezuka. Next you'll be seeing my review of Message to Adolf, which will be the final installment of Tezuka season. And then I'll be doing my regular manga reviews from there on afterwards. So yeah, just it's essentially the end of an era. So thanks for watching, guys.